Like, if I wanted to tell a story on stream, I would tell you guys about this story where... So, in my first year of college... here's a golden rule first off in college. 1, never take classes on Fridays. Classes on Fridays are for bitches. You want to have a 3-day weekend because you're in college and fuck class, right? But... I was literally changing the song. But one semester, my first year, god damn, I decided to take a Friday class for an elective because I thought it would be cool. It was called Themes in Science Fiction, Film, and Literature. And I thought it was gonna be a pretty cool class. You know, like talk about like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and, you know, fantasy and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm into this shit. So I'm gonna do this. Like, you know, this sounds fun. And then I walk in on the first day. It's a 3.5-hour class on Fridays at 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And I'm like, it's gonna be shitty, but like whatever. And plus I'll get off from work on Fridays then. I walk in on the first day. My professor walks in and he's just like, how's it going, everybody? I'm Professor so-and-so and welcome to the class. And then he sits down and he's like, this is the attendance sheet. I don't care about attendance. But here's another thing. I'm going to do my absolute best to not remember anyone's names over the entire semester. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I got respect for that. So we have the first day go by and, you know, we're talking about the first thing. It's like, okay, the first thing, you know, in the syllabus, we're going to watch Frankenstein. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, Frankenstein. That's dope. Whatever. And then someone asks a question, and he goes, yeah, you, Chief. What's up, Chief? And, you know, he answers the question, whatever. And then, like, this big kid in the back of the class raises his hand after that for another question. He's like, yeah, you, Big Chief in the back of the class, the one with the hat. What's up? What's up? And, this dude's like an old, like, Italian, not older, like, in his late 40s, maybe, Italian dude. And I'm like, man, he calling everybody Chief? And then this girl asks a question. He's like, yeah, Miss Chief over here. Miss Chief. And I'm like, no fucking way is this dude going to call everyone in this class over the next 6 months Chief. And I'm like, there's no fucking way that this guy is. And like, this is a couple years ago, so I just got smoked. This is a couple years ago, so this is when I was still like vaping hardcore. We would have a break in the middle of the class, and because he would just want to go downstairs to the front of the building. This is on the 4th floor. He would want to go down to the front of the building and go smoke a cigarette. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I would go down, and I would talk to him. This dude is weird, and like I made some genuine connections with this dude. He had like a real fucked up life. Like his wife left him, his kids left him, all this shit, and you're like, oof, this is rough. But the one thing that stayed true with this man is that, like, dude, he tried to explain to us that everybody he met in his life that wouldn't be a reoccurring figure, he just called them Chief. This fight will make me even stronger. And I'm like, what? Like, he called everyone Chief. Right. So, like, he was a jaded dude, but he was funny, and he just, like, had this intense hatred for Batman versus Superman, and like every class he would talk about it for 30 minutes. But like I ended up making some, like all the classes you had to write a paper, you had to read a book, and then watch a movie. You'd watch the movie in class, and then the next week you would discuss the book in class on a certain topic. So Frankenstein, we watch a movie, and then we'd read the book, and then we talk about it, and then you take a test on it, or you would write a paper. And because a lot of us he was a little weird with how he taught things, he kind of just like let the movie rock and like hoped you read the book, was like most of his teaching. I was getting some other students and we became friends, and I had this friend Tom in the class. Yes, another Tom. I know, another Tom. And we ended up nicknaming the class, you know, Master Chief's class. And like this just puts a... So like there's literally just this picture in my head permanently of this professor with the Master Chief helmet on in the front of the class, calling everybody Chief. Yeah, like, yeah, Chief, what the question? Or Chief in the back of the class. And I ended up, you know, loving the class. He was such a great professor. Just because, like, he didn't give a shit, and, like, we would go downstairs every week during the break, and, like, he would smoke a cigarette, and we would just chill out, and we would just talk about life and shit, and, you know, Master Chief really, Master Chief was cool. He was, like, the first professor for me in college where I was like, dude, this college thing is sick. Newsflash. No one else is like that, if you didn't know that already. No other professor will be like that, so we gotta hold that. And, yeah, it was, we had to hold that, whatever, but I loved this professor so much. He was just a really cool dude who just didn't give a fuck about anyone, and, like, Master Chief's class was the one I looked forward to every week, even though it was a 3-hour class on a Friday, and I was like, oh, I can't hang out with my friends, but, like, dude, I learned a lot in that class. Like, just some, like, real fun things. And about life and stuff. And how if I ever have an ex-wife, which I hope I never have an ex-wife, that I'm going to hate her with a burning passion as much as he did. Yeah, so our final, he was like, oh, find a book and a movie that exists so that you can, you know, tie it in. Has to be science fiction themed. I ended up doing mine on, oh my god, what's the name of the movie? Hello? I know the name of the book. Blade Runner. I did mine on Blade Runner. By the way, if you've never seen Blade Runner, sick-ass movie. And the second one's still pretty good, too. Sick-ass movie. See, I did my paper on that. I have... You know, I took my final, whatever. I handed it in. But, in the years coming... Because he was an English teacher, because it's an English elective, that class. It's a literature elective. I was trying to find this professor to take him again at, like, the years coming. And I literally never, ever... Damn, that did so much damage. I literally never saw him on any sign-up sheet ever again for any other class after that semester. And, that sucked, because I really enjoyed him. But, yeah, I never found him ever again, which was really shitty. And I love this professor. I hope he is good. But I really feel like that class at the end of it was, like, literally the ghost of Master Chief. Because I feel like someone complained about the whole Chief thing. And he just, I don't think he got fired for it, but maybe he did something else that was stupid. But I never saw this teacher ever again. And I never got taken to the class with him. And I loved this teacher so much. Just because he was laid back and he was chill. But, man, take some weird electives in college. You can learn some really cool stuff or just meet some really cool teachers who give you cool perspectives on life. You know, the Master Chief taught me a lot of just cool things. And, I don't know where you are, Master Chief, but I hope you're doing well out here in the world. Post going to Farmingdale College. He was a good dude. He was a good dude.